stuff. You were right. Just assume it was going to be you. Full guard. All right. So we're here. A couple things are different from last week. So last week we talked about if you were no-gi, kind of using monkey paws or kind of that collar grip. This week, since we have on the pajamas and we're going to be civilized folk and choke each other, we're going to use cuff grip. So we're here. I don't care if you go cuff or pistol grip here. For me personally, I've just never felt comfortable with a pistol grip unless they're just swimming in their gi. I just never felt like this is a good grip. So I prefer just that real simple cuff grip, no thumbs here. Boom, we're here. I'm going to look to push his hands up as I shrimp in. Because my goal is to get my feet to the hips here and attach his hands kind of to the side of my butt cheeks here. All right. What this is going to give me is good leverage on his arms with my shins and good control of his weight with my feet here. So if I'm here, I can use my feet to manage that distance, which is what I like to do in this guard is I'm using that motion to manage distance and set up what I want. So last week we worked a couple different ideas as far as boom, kicking this through and going to that omoplata, as well as coming here, arm dragging, and a couple other ideas. Today we're going to work a couple more ideas. Realize you can use both of the techniques we worked last week and this week, gi or no gi. Very few of these techniques are dependent on being gi or no gi, okay? So I'm here, boom, I get my cuff grips. All we're going to look to do is I like to sit Austin back just that little bit onto his hip, and I'm going to open to whatever side I want to attack on. So for me, I want my right leg to be able to come up, so I'm going to open to that left side with my right leg in the air. Boom. I'm going to set him back that little bit, and I'm going to look to bring this foot over and here. Now, as soon as that foot clears his shoulder, we have to go up and bite with our hips for this triangle to have a chance at working. So we're here, boom, I have to bring my hips up off the ground, boom, and boom. You want to lock your feet as soon as you can here. Now, order of operations is still the same to finish the traditional triangle. So we're here, we're going to pass the wrist over, grab behind his head, cut my angle, close on the ankle, not the foot, finish the triangle. Very simple setup. The only big difference is how you get there with the open guard now. So we're here, boom, I get to the open guard, I push his hands back, shrimp, driving my knees to the inside, boom. I get my knees wide like I'm a bad girl at the club, right? So I'm here, boom, I use my feet, I use that distance management to set him up, boom, hips up, and I snap and grab that triangle. As soon as that triangle comes in, arm across, break the posture, cut your angle, close your triangle. Questions on this? It's a little different setup. The details are all the same.
Without seeing what I'm doing, when I get to the point where I'm ready to throw the triangle, they back up. So what do you think that I'm doing wrong with the way, and I can't shoot my hips to them?
So, make sure I'm hearing you correctly. So you're here. Boom, you set him back and he just starts backing away.
The foot is already out and ready to go up.
Boom, and he starts.
Yeah.
Do they fall back or do they?
Maybe they just fall back.
If they fall back, tell them thank you. Just stay top. Realize that most people will try to sit back almost like they're trying to posture away from you. If they get too far back, let them fall. Follow them up. So if I'm here with Austin, boom. What I like to do in this one is I kind of like to stress test people whenever I get to open guard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push pull real hard and see kind of where you're at and how athletic you are in this guard. You see how Austin's immediately uncomfortable here? That gives me the tell I need to know that, hey, if I want to,
how should I make up for this?
Boom, you can just pop up there.
Okay.
If he's not actively starting to engage with you there and is just kind of waiting for the reaction, realize sitting him to his butt is an option. Not one we're going to spend a ton of time drilling, but if you feel like you're catching people where they're just kind of sitting back and being a little too passive with you, sit them. I like to refer to it as stress. I just bop, bop, get that motion going. Because at worst, I've gotten him to where he has to react. Because regardless how he reacts, as always, choose your own adventure. If I'm here with Austin and I push him back, pull him forward, and he starts to step up there, that's great. I'll follow. If he, boom, I push, pull, and he starts to come in, boom, that's great. I can attack there. Does that make sense? So that if you're just sitting still in this guard, they're going to start to counter. There's no good things that are going to happen from being lazy in this open guard. So when I get here, guys, I'm not saying you got to be all the time, but you want to be moving a little bit and off balancing and seeing where he's at. Especially if he starts to bring that foot up, that's going to start to give you other options going away from that foot. Does that make sense? Other questions?
When you lock it up, and this I guess this goes for like any time ring.
Yeah.
Because I noticed you were able to kind of do that hip flexibility where you didn't really have to cut that angle a whole lot. What if you have to? How do you cut that angle if they start to posture up?
Biggest thing you want to do. It's not that I have great hip flexibility, guys. I can't touch my toes. Like, I promise you, there's not a part of me that's flexible. When I get here, a lot of you run into being able to close your triangle because you're not bringing your knee in line. So I want my shin bone in line with his shoulders, like a set of train tracks. The front of his shoulders and the front of my shin should be a train track. What a lot of you do is you point your foot back towards that back hip, and it makes it really hard to lock that triangle. Couple things you can do to help that. One, when you bring your hips up, make sure you tuck that arm across, and when you grab this shin bone, don't just focus on cutting this angle, focus on bringing this shin forward. It's going to help break that posture, but it's also going to help you with that angle cut as far as that hip flexibility. Because that's what allows me to do it. Because if my foot's here, it doesn't matter how cut my angle is, I'm 90'd off and still can't get it. Now, the second I pull that foot forward, that's it. Does that make sense? We'll let Austin breathe for a second so I don't kill him. But if my foot's pointed back across his back, I don't care how flexible, you have to be MJ long for it to work out. You have to pull that to where you're kind of looking at the front of your shin for it to be an effective triangle. And that's any triangle, guys, not just this one. Other questions? Does that answer yours?
Yeah.
You not?
When you're like trying to destabilize them and you're pulling on the arms, how do you know when it's a good time to shoot that leg up?
Great question. Yes, you should definitely try that out a bunch and figure out when it's going to time well for you. There's not a opportune moment is when you catch them in that half a step behind you. So what I'm referring to is like when I'm here and I start moving, you see how Austin's behind me just half a step, he's not square and his posture, his weight's not on my shins. That's how I know.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
So you're waiting for him to just kind of be that half a step behind you. So that's why I'm just opening, closing, boom, I'm there. There it is. And the second you get there, boom, then you can start to attack. That's why you're destabilizing, just moving those hips, changing that distance. It's going to give you those openings. It's hard to explain as far as a moment, but the more you get into it, the more you'll feel it.
That did help me like kind of with the motion though, because there's been other times where I'm trying to destabilize, where I don't have as much of a goal. I'm just waiting for a moment that I feel. That did help with like understanding the concept of what I should be doing during. Wow, because it's not super random. It's organized.
Yeah, because what I'm looking for. So the basics is forward, back, left, right. All right. So all I'm looking for is, hey, I'm pushing you back. If you don't drive forward right here, that tells me I can start to really come up and do other things. If I pull you in and you don't really follow me and start doing what he's doing here, that tells me, okay, I know that I'm going to be able to pull you over almost into like a treetop sweep or something real crazy. You know, if I start moving to my left and see how his knees didn't follow there, that tells me I'm going to be able to come this way. So that's what you're looking for with that motion. It's kind of that shrimp and that reverse shrimp motion that we drill. So for those of you who do the warm-up drills, that's all you're doing here. You just have his hands. Make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Other questions? Those are all good questions.
Can I ask one about what you just said?
Yeah.
When you said if he's too far over you,
Yeah.
what's the speed that you said?
Boom. So I push Austin in. A lot of people are going to rush their hips in. You've seen it. Wee! The wee-woo sweep. Or if they're better and you can't just elevate them like that, what a lot of the times will happen is you'll push, they'll come here and you start to go over if they follow you too tight. That's why I said if you get good in the motion of this and you have good control, sometimes it's just very simple. You just follow them over. You just off balance them enough to follow them. So that's some of the simple stuff you can do. All right. 1, 2, 3. Boom. I get here. Boom. I shrimp. Good things are happening. A couple things I want to clean up on our technique, and then we're going to go over another triangle option I love. So I'm here. Boom. I push him back. As I'm here, guys, I'm driving this knee up. When we're here, I'm trying to pull this wrist to this hip. Does that make sense? A lot of you guys, I feel like you're pulling almost like over your shoulder. And that just looks awkward as all shit. So don't do that. 2, when we get here, I talked to Evan about it in detail. But when we're here, a lot of you guys are not breaking the posture at all. You're letting him kind of sit way too vertical and trying to reach up here. When I'm here, I tuck his arm in and I'm pulling my knees to my shoulders, trying to crunch him down. Using my legs to manage that distance. Realize 90% of what you do in jiu-jitsu with your legs is distance management. If I push him away, I'm creating space. If I pull him in, I'm taking it away. But you have to manage that distance with your legs. Guys like MJ have that distinct advantage because they have them gangle ass legs. It's real annoying. You should be able to do that too. I mean, you have that distance. So those are 2 things I just want you guys to keep in mind as we're doing this. Let's assume though I get to this triangle and Austin doesn't suck. So he's going to do one of a couple things. Either look to hide his hand, or most of them are going to look to posture up really tall here. And that's just annoying as all hell. So I'm going to give you 2 options. I want you to practice them both kind of 1 and 2. Option A, I just need more enemies in life. You're going to make a fist. You're going to look Austin dead in his eyes and dead in his throat. You're going to put this very gently, very demure. You're going to just drive this straight into his throat as you pinch your knees and arc your feet over his head. Here, here. Very calming, very demure.
Is that exact opposite?
Yeah. Fist. You cannot punch in jiu-jitsu. In MMA, fucking chuck him right in the throat. I don't care. Let him know you're there and you need enemies. For me, I'm just going to very lightly push this here. I'm going to pinch my knees. I'm going to drive my feet straight, pinch here, and bring them up. It sucks even without my fist in there. Once you insert said fist,
What did I do?
you get fun sound effects.
You do this before, so if the TP fails, you go to this, or do you go to this before the TP?
Yes. Doesn't matter. Attack. It's going to depend on you and a little bit of what they're doing, depending on how tall they are. So like if he's sitting real high here, going to the TP is going to be real tough, so I'm just going to come here. Now, Austin's a little bit shorter, so what she's referring to is kind of the part 2 of this. All you're looking to do is you want to lock your hands directly behind your knee here and pinch as you drive your feet up. So you're here. It's very violent, very fun, I don't like my friends very much. The reason I like both of these is a lot of people get a little bit of posture and tuck this arm and feel super safe. A lot of you guys feel super safe with me this way, and I'm just like, hey. Alright? So, all you're looking for, I like to just insert my pinky right on the windpipe. The rest of it just right under that jawline. Spot there. You're looking to, guys, for lack of a better term, we talk about that good girl, bad girl machine. You're trying to good girl yourself while doing this. If you're doing the TP choke, you're going here. If you're doing the fist, you're going here. You fist them in the TP. That's what you do. All right? Questions on this?
You got a collar when you're doing that, when you put the fist in there?
Doesn't help you. So, I mean, if I'm here, You can. For me, I'm trying to do this in a, oh, I'm definitely going to pass this arm over. I promise you.
That was the worst one.
Like, I'm doing this as kind of a, I want it in. So I'm not trying to set the, you know, this isn't one where like, you're slow and this is like, hey, fuck you. It's one of those type of, I'm snapping this one on quickly. Because it's pretty easy to defend. The second he engages his hands in this, he should be able to defend a lot. That's why sometimes I do this as a 1-2, I'll go there and then TP. Because a lot of the times what they'll do is they'll grab your hand and crash into you, try and get you off of them. So what happens a lot of the time is I'm here, I'll go here and Austin will be like, hey, that's not cool. And I'll go straight into this. But I'm trying to get this in the, oh shit, I didn't, you know, I thought I was safe. No, you're not. Like, that's what we're looking for. I want you to think you're in a safe space, and then I take that from you. Because I'm a bad person. Isn't that right, Kat?
Cat thinks I'm a bad person.
Right? Other questions? All right, chill her out. 1, 2, 3. Now, I'm telling you all this for your own safety. Be very sensitive of the rule set you're in. This is going to be a bicep slicer at the end. So if your rule set does not allow for bicep slicers, be aware of that fact. All right? So boom, we're here. I get to open guard, right? Boom, I'm off balancing here. Let's say I open and I realize Austin's not following my hips the way he should. So boom, I'm going to look like I'm going for that triangle again with this arm pull. But as soon as I come here, this foot's going to kind of, like a rock skipping on the water, it's going to kind of hit and scoop him out. Bop, bop. This leg is, instead of going to be bringing my knee out, I'm just going to kick my shin through. Bop, bop. Here. Now, all we're going to look to do is you want to come up into mount ideally. And that's going to be what you always shoot for, and there's no bicep slicer there. But most of the time, that's going to be a little bit harder than it seems. So in an actual situation, boom, you're going to come here. Boom, you kick him over here, and you're going to have to come up. Which is fine, because all you're going to look to do is I'm going to look to come in here. So I want to show you guys bicep. All right. So you leave that in here, and you want to tuck that in behind.
Just like.
So
10 more times.
there's a couple ways you can do it, but that's one of the easier ones. Boom, I'm here. Kick out, come through. Pop, here. As soon as this foot comes out, post it in the mat. Come over and in. Very slowly put your weight into it.
If this is oriented the wrong way,
Doesn't matter. It'll start to hurt.
will it break this bone?
Yes. It just snaps the other way. So I'm here, here. So if Austin goes here with it, it doesn't matter. It turns this way. All of it sucks all at once.
I was wondering if
You want to do it?
No.
Yeah, come here, Kat. I got you.
Thanks. What's happening? Are you serious?
Come
You're
on,
hell.
For a lot of reasons, not this one. Take the glasses off. So, boom. Nerd. Boom. I sweep over here. You're coming up. You post that foot over the shoulder here. Boom. Here. Here. Turn your hand whatever way you want.
No, get off of me! Get
You can turn it whatever way you want, Kat. You're fine.
off! Get off! You're
Okay.
The leg you're pushing with, is that the one? I did that.
Yeah, so that top foot comes in. So boom, you're here. You're gonna pull that foot out anyway. You just keep that in to tuck that wrist. Now realize, guys, I'm showing you that just as a fun wrinkle. Get the scissors, sweep down 2 or 3 times, then work on hitting that bicep slice. Because most of you guys can't use it in a rule set anyway. But it's just fun to show you guys shit.
So like it's a bicep slicer, but like you said, because I know bicep slicer is like explosive shit. But you said the arm. So is that technically?
No, a bicep slicer. The point of a bicep slicer is one of two things are going to happen depending on what gives out first. Your bicep tendon bursts, literally just goes pop and gives up, and your bicep goes into your shoulder. Or your ulna, right, snaps in half. One of those two things gives up first. Just depends on your body. So it's called a bicep slicer, but
So there's no way of disguising it by anything other than that.
no. Oh no. This is if you hit this and it's not your rule set, you're getting. Like there are times where I tell you like, oh, it's not a neck crank, it's a choke. This is a bicep slicer. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right. Other questions? Like I said, focus on the scissor sweep. If you want some sprinkles, hit a bicep slicer.
Sweep, just stepping over the pocket.
Yeah. So boom, I'm here. Boom, same thing. You're moving people. Bop, bop. Here. As soon as this comes over, here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and sprawl my way around. Yeah, like almost like you're doing that kind of thigh stretch. And you drive in. You know, where you're here and you're like, oh yeah. That's kind of the pressure you're working. Like I said, get the scissor sweep first. That's the more important part of all this. But if you want an extra fuck you to add on to an expert division. Yeah. So it's kind of a push, pull, push, push, pull. So I'm here, pull. This is kind of a pull / knockout. This is more of a push. So I'm push or pull. This is kind of a pull. This is kind of a push. Bop. Ideal, you know, you can just come up. If you can come up and take mount, always come up and take mount. Because in a point tournament, this is 2 then 4. So it's a 6-point move if you do it right. But if you realize you're not going to take mount and bicep slicers are legal, or you just want DQ for the day, there you go. All right. 1, 2, 3.